Let's talk strategy, specifically strategic planning. Now, I have heard everything under the sun about why strategic planning is bad and why it sucks and why it's no good. I've heard people say that you don't need planning, you need strategy, as if that wasn't in the name, or that, people just create these strategic plans and then they never see them again. And while I think all of this has like some grain of truth, I think there is a way that you can do it that can really be beneficial for your organization. So let's just talk about some of the mistakes I think that people make. Number one is, of course, creating this plan that you never look at again. Like if you're going to go through all the work of creating a strategic plan for your organization, you really need to follow through on what you're doing and what you've said that you are going to do. And then the other part is just, either creating just a strategy or just making a plan and not bringing the two components together, I think is another just huge mistake, right? We don't want to just have some kind of strategy without real actionable steps to implement each thing to get us to our goal. And then two, we don't want to just create some random plan without actually digging in and doing some research and building a real strategic plan, like getting really strategic about our goals and why we're going for them and how we're going to go for them. So today I'm just going to break down my core strategic planning method and really get into what that means, what that looks like, and how it can benefit your organization. So CORE itself stands for clarity, organizational research, roadmap, and evaluation. And these are essentially the four steps that is going to guide you through your strategic planning. Now, to be completely clear, why these are very four important components, they don't necessarily happen linearly. They don't happen in a straight line. Yeah. They're kind of weaving in and out of each other, and you need them to do that in all these extra steps. And specifically, you need your strategic plan to be very, very flexible. But these are the four components that you need to have for your strategic plan, and it's really super important. So number one is just clarity, right? One, we want to get really crystal clear on why we're doing this plan. We don't want to just think that we need to create a strategic plan just because other people are doing it or because somebody told us that we needed to do it. We need to be really clear on our objectives, why we're going to do it, what we're aiming for, what is the whole point. And then outside of that, just being clear on this process, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, you need to get really clear on who your organization is and what you guys do and the different people and processes involved in that, right? So I'm thinking, we need to know what our mission is. We need to know what our vision is. We need to know our values and how those are going to be integrated into this plan, as well as whether or not we need to reevaluate those. We need to take a really good look at what we're doing, why we're doing it. And really, too, to make sure everybody else knows as well. And that kind of gets us into that O. So that O is the organizational research. So this is where we're doing a lot of our SWOT analysis, where we're, looking at our strengths, our weaknesses, different opportunities and threats outside of the organization. We are getting really heavy into our stakeholders and interviewing them and talking to them and figuring out the community that we serve. Like, what are their needs? Are we meeting those? We are diving in deep as you can get to figure out what we are doing, how you're doing it, how well it's currently working, because we need some starting metrics, right? You need to know where you are before we can really understand where we're going. Because if you don't know where you are, then we don't know how to set those metrics to get to our goals, right? Like if you want to be a $500,000 a year organization, maybe that's not the right goal if you guys are already at 450, right? Maybe you need to go higher. Or maybe if you guys are only at $10,000, 500,000 may be a little steep and we need to start bringing it down just to get a little more realistic, right? So this is why we're digging in deep, really trying to figure out where we are as an organization so that we can know what is more realistic for us to get there. And that takes us to our R, is our roadmap. So this is a really important part about the strategic plan that I think a lot of people miss out on. Again, it's not having those actionable steps. So I don't want to just say, hey, this is where we are and this is where we're going. We want to create the steps that get us there. And not only do we want to create steps, you want to create deadlines. So we know that this particular step needs to be done in 2 months. We know that this step needs to be done like 3 months after that. If you can put actual physical dates on there, even better. And then not only do we need to know when they need to be done, we need to know who's responsible for that, right? So is it going to be your board? And I would name specific people on your board. Is it going to be administrative staff? Is it going to be the executive director? Like what person, what entity, what team is responsible for executing this specific step? Like who needs to make that happen and when do they need to make it happen by? And that is the stuff that is going to go into that roadmap so that you have actionable steps, actionable plan to get you through all of this. And then that gets us to our E. Okay, this is not an E, this is a heart. But an E, I don't even know how to make an E. We're not worrying about all that. But the E is where we are next. And the E is, again, another really important part, and that's evaluation. So when I say that your strategic plan needs to be flexible, this is why, because we are going to create checkpoints. We're going to check in on these specific steps. We need to know at certain points whether or not we are on the right path to get us to our end goal. Now, your evaluation is where you're going to really figure out if the strategy that you have created and that you're executing is going to get you to your goal. Do you need to maybe reevaluate your timeline? Do you need to reevaluate some deadlines? Do we need to look at moving some responsibility? Because maybe, you know, a particular person or a particular team is having difficulties with some certain steps, or maybe, you know, our idea of having, you know, certain programs and stuff in place is taking a little longer than anticipated. And these are the points where we're looking in. And I recommend like no less than like 4 check-ins in a year. And then of course this all again depends on how we're doing our strategic planning. But I think that is the least that you can do is have like 4 check-ins a year just to make sure that you are on the right path. So one thing that I really want us to think about too when we're talking about strategic planning is just recognizing that you don't have to necessarily do an entire organizational strategic plan in one go, right? If this is something new, I would not do that without hiring some help. Like a company like, you know, Blessed Designs Consulting, there's lots of different consultants out there that can walk you through a strategic plan. But if this is something that you kind of want to do on your own, I would start with like just one component, whether it's just a marketing strategy or just creating like a fundraising strategy, just some kind of development strategy, capacity strategy. Like stick with one component and make it just really super easy for you and focus on that one thing. And that will help you to level up and get an idea and get a feel for what you are doing to then go forth and create a whole huge organizational plan. Because in all honesty, when you do a large organizational plan, chances are that that plan is going to have smaller components. So if you can get those smaller components done, doing the big thing is going to be so much easier for you. And that is it for today. If you have done a strategic plan with your organization, whether your business or your nonprofit organization, I would love to hear how it went, what your thoughts are, what do you think could have been improved? And again, if you have any questions and you're wondering how to do different things, hit me up. I'm here. The email will be in the description below. You can just hit up Blessed Designs Consulting. We are happy to walk you through. We do strategy consultations where we can help walk you through exactly what you need to do and just build that small strategy with those actionable plans. Now, we can't go into like a full-on strategy in an hour-long session, But if you are looking for something bigger, we can talk about that as well. But again, hit us up. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep up with us if you are interested in learning more tips and tricks for your nonprofit organization.